So I don't know how many people from here were also at the India Today conclave a few months ago, but I'm saying this myself, but the highlight of the conclave was the AIB guys. Can we have a raise of hands of how many people here have seen the AIB roast? And how many people liked the AIB roast? Okay, so, well, this has nothing to do with AIB. I'm just saying that I think Kali Puri sitting there chose me for this session because somewhere in her head she's thinking, you're the Balika Bakra, you're used to getting made fun of, so you do this session with our next speaker. So she's known for two characters she plays. I don't know if you've seen her live, you really must. She's currently on tour, so if you get a chance, you really must. One of them is called Dolly Khurana. The other is called Dr. Mrs. Lutchuke. Okay? These are two characters she plays as part of her stand-up routine. Now, she was part, you've probably, if you haven't been to any of her stand-up, comedy nights or sessions, you've probably seen her on TV. She's part of many shows. She was also a very important part of that AIB roast, where she made some of the most, shocking jokes and stuff. And many of those things went completely viral. And I'm going to ask her about some of those things. She also says, very importantly, that India has a very iffy record as far as humor and sense of humor actually goes. But like all brave, upstanding comics in this country, she's chosen to make her place in that very iffy space. Please put your hands together for the very talented, very lovely Aditi Mittal.
Namaste, myself is the name is the Dr. Mrs. Lutchuke. Don't feel shy, I am like your mother only. But how necessary this party? 3 घंटे की फिल्म मैं 3 बार बाथरूम गई हूँ. When I left, when I came back, same thing was happening. मुझे तो doubt होने लगा मैं बाथरूम गई हूँ कि नहीं.
The amount of sleepiness you feel on a flight is inversely in proportion with the amount of sleepiness that keeps on that same flight. I love it. Like nothing makes my uterus purr more than when you see those ads for baby products. It's like more fun.
Aditi Mittal.
Hello. I especially showered for this, Shiv, so this is going to be a special day.
Okay, so as I said, Aditi Mittal is currently on tour. So she's going all over the country. She's going to Calcutta, she's going to Surat, she's going to be doing shows here in Delhi as well. And like you saw in that little audio visual, she does two characters which are very popular. She's a sensation on YouTube and among her many thousands of fans. Dolly Khurana, I think this is a city that will really, really connect with that sort of thing.
Yes. I agree. I actually did Dolly Khurana in Delhi. And there were about 6 guys who were waiting outside. And I finished, I changed out of my costume and then I got into like these kind of clothes and I could tell they were severely disappointed. Like when I walked out, they're like, "Acha, aap theek hai, Dolly ji nahi aayi." So, asni wo chale gaye. But so in Delhi, it works really well. And it's actually based on my bua, who is this sort of very loud, very enthusiastic and very opinionated. Like har koi khota hai. Nobody is a normal person. Har kisi ke fitte muh. So I was very inspired by her.
What's the weirdest thing you've heard in reaction to, your comedy? I mean, apart from fans and stuff, have people like stopped you and given you advice or said, things like, you shouldn't talk about these topics, stuff like that? Does it happen very often?
When I started out, and I was doing like 8-minute spots with a bunch of white comics at that point, like because white people approval means a lot to us as a country. And so I'm doing this like 10-minute lineup, a 10-minute spot in between a big show. And then one older gentleman comes up to me after the show, "Beta, very funny." I said, "Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Dusro ko bolna, card lijiye, ye wo." And then he said, "Acha beta, I'm just asking casually ki matlab, now you are saying all these things on stage. Huh? Your parents know all this? So I was like, Hanji, I think they know all this. नहीं, I'm not trying to. नहीं, मैं सोच रहा हूँ अच्छा लड़का कैसे मिलेगा? And I was like, Uncle, मैं आपको propose नहीं करूँगी, तो आप worry ना कीजिए. But that was the weirdest thing. Someone so concerned for my love life. Like I was like, ये मतलब जुमानी का भाई है. Why is he so concerned?
You know, Aditi, last few years, you know, the UPA government, and there was so much subject matter. Politics is always great subject matter for comics, right? Has it changed now under the Modi Sarkar?
Yes, it has. And
why?
Because of the obvious reasons. There is, of course, a very solid PR machinery in place. Conspiratorially and maybe actually, that is, and I realized this much while we were, like, after the elections, इसकी मतलब मनमोहन सिंह के बारे में ना 10 मिनट के लिए गालियां दो. वो बोलता नहीं है, उसको सर नहीं है, मुंह नहीं है, गला काट दो, उसको थप्पड़ मारो, उसकी पगड़ी unravel कर दो, and audiences would be laughing and clapping. And now so you say Lalit Modi also, and people are just like, oh. What a saying, who said? And I think that's what worries me a lot is when, and as a comic, you want to say things that make people laugh. You don't want an awkward room where everyone's like, oh, who's getting killed today? Like, you don't want that. And so, as comics, I think one of the biggest struggles has been to say unpopular stuff without alienating your audience. Yeah. And that we've been seeing that very recently.
But are people afraid of laughing about sensitive issues, things like religion, things like the Prime Minister, you know, things like you know, some of the things that have made the news recently? Are those things taboo right now? Is there a sort of pause that comics like you know, take before you decide on certain topics nowadays?
Hanji, always. And there, because you are also, like I call it the rolling up the window phenomena, is that when we say that India has this sort of iffy record when it comes to a sense of humor, we also have to remember that we live in the same framework as someone that, you know, you and I are sort of driving down the road and we will see someone who is very, very poor come up and ask you for money. And we have the middle class blinders on. We just roll up the window. And for that, I mean, if we had to really be affected by every poor person that came to us, I don't know, like I know that people when they visit from abroad, they're always like, oh my God, the poverty in India, you know, I can't deal with it. But we as middle class people are used to it. We will comfortably roll up the window. And that's because it's a tragedy, and I know that everyone's like, arey yaar, ye kya baat kar rahi hai right now. But it's because comedy is tragedy plus time. And we have so much tragedy happening around, for the lack of a better word, happening around us that we need distance from it to have it be funny. I do this joke about how sanitary napkins are so sort of, nowadays they have these ads where sanitary napkins itna soak lete hain ki matlab there was one ad where she threw a pad into a pond, right? And the pad soaked up the entire pond. The whole pond, like she lost an engagement ring or something and her friend's like, don't worry, you know. And then suddenly the whole pond has disappeared and the ring's like, and you're like, oh wow. And so when I wrote the joke first, I did it, so I used to say ki yaar, you know, it makes me realize that the situation in Japan today would have been very different if tsunami pe pad feko, like the lives we could have saved, that kind of a thing. And then I decided to update the joke when I took it on the road recently, and I said the situation in Jammu and Kashmir would have been very different if floods pe pad feko. And that was the reaction I got. Because it's too close to home and it's too recently. Yeah. And so it's about achieving distance, I imagine, from a situation for it to seem funny to us. And we love pointing a finger at other things. Oh, yaar, sabhi chute hai. Matlab, hum great hai. Like.
Speaking of close to home, speaking of recent, you know, the roast. Because all of us, you know, as journalists, we reported how, you know, you had to cancel a few shows after the roast and stuff. So people want to know, I mean, what happened? I mean, Was there a huge amount of pressure? Was it you who decided? What was it like? I mean, because let's not forget, I mean, I think a lot of people who watch comedy in India perhaps don't realize that this is your life, this is your dhanda, right?
Yes.
So it affected your dhanda.
Yes, very badly. I mean, like, actually, my sort of like cash-in day is Women's Day, because every company is like, come, tell jokes to our women's. And so, like, every year for the past 5 years, I have done I've done 6 shows in one day. Okay, so that's my cash cow day. And then when this nonsense happened, call pe call. Aditi, you know, it's great and everything, but our company has decided not to go with you this year. And I was like, Kyun? Beta, what were you doing on that roast? I was like, I don't know either, to be very honest.
But what are your thoughts about the roast? I mean, one of the funniest things that Aditi actually said at that roast was to another comic, because she was one of the roasters as well, and there's this other comic who's also hilarious. It's a guy called Abhish Matthew, and Aditi said, you know, Abhish, when a girl has sex with you, she becomes a virgin again. You're like a hymen repairman. and that comment went completely viral. But, you know...
Have you met Abhish?
I have, actually.
No offense, ladies.
No, but would you do it again? Would you do it again, the roast?
Oh, yeah.
Or did you have any regrets at all because of all the blowback?
Oh, any day of the week.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, the truth is, this is not the first roast India had. Veer Das, who is also a comic, has organized several roasts. The only, and no, before that as well. We did a roast of Ranveer, Shori and Vinay Pathak. And then after that, we did a roast of Suhail Seth, which... So, I feel like there has been, the roasts happen. And frankly, you know, the fact that we got all this attention was primarily because it was on YouTube. And otherwise, we have been saying really vulgar, nasty things in public for a long time, like 5 years. Suddenly I was like, oh, that offended you guys? You all should come to the club and see what I say.
Is it different, you know, for comics who are men and women? I'm asking totally innocently, not with any, it's not a loaded question, but is there an extra effort that a woman comic has to make to be funny? I'm talking about in the Indian context. Is there a special effort that you think you need to make vis-a-vis male comics?
Hanji, yes. And I don't know about the others, but I do know that I have made a very conscious effort to desexualize myself violently. I mean, that's why you see most female comics were dressed like lesbians. Like, I've been wearing a suit. Like, I wear a pantsuit on stage all the time when I'm performing. And this is primarily because I don't want anyone saying, ki, yaar, actually, her jokes are not funny, but she's got great legs, which, I mean, so it's one of those things. So I've made that attempt, and I think, and now not so much anymore, because I'm more confident and I've stopped giving as much of a shit, because earlier I was very concerned. And the one thing is when you enter a room, you can't enter the room guns blazing. You have to enter the room, be like, hey guys, what's up? So I have this gun. Do you want to see how it works? And you'll automatically have more people alive to listen to you. And so I think that was my initial idea of starting to do comedy. I was like, you know, I'm going to sort of put I mean, you know, and of course, comedians in general, we never dress well. I mean, I don't think we know what a dhobi is. The whole industry has not seen a washing machine in a year. So yeah, that was one of the things I did. And then, of course, in spite of that, actually, when I changed my mind, in spite of that, they were like loud, screechy, bitch. Matlab, jo abuses jo Twitter pe aati thi, Facebook pe aati thi. I was like, yaar, they sochne hi wale hain. They're going to think of you like that anyway. So you might as well do what you want.
So if you're, I mean, is there a distinction between being beautiful and funny? Try and tone down the beauty or tone down your feminineness if you want people to laugh at you a little more. I mean, is that sad, or is that just the way it is?
You know, and also one of the things that I performed in LA, Subtle Plug, and I was talking to the owner of the club, and he said, and he was a very sexist gentleman, and he said, you know, Aditi, I haven't met too many funny women, and you're hilarious. And I said, thank you, and then He said, the truth is women find it just harder because at the end of the day, women are the ones laughing. If there's a cute guy on stage, has anyone heard of Kanan Gill? Holy smoke. He is absolutely adorable. वो जो भी बोलेगा औरतें हंसेंगी. We will laugh because he's beautiful to look at. Whereas it's the exact opposite with women. Because if I come on stage with a low-cut dress and, just a super short dress, even women will turn around and be like, you're using your sexuality. And when they don't laugh, the men don't laugh. And especially if the men find you funny and the women don't, then you're done for.
Do women and men like different kinds of humor?
Hanji, because
Are you able, what I mean to ask is, like, from a stage, are you able to tell, which subjects maybe girls like better and laugh at more than maybe guys, or the other way around? Or is it, humor is humor?
See, of course, because I think the place in the power structure for men and women is both different. We will laugh at different things. I find it hilarious when, someone cracks a joke about Eve teasing. Whereas a guy will not even get the full impact of how creepy and vulgar it is to be beckoned on the street like I'm like, kutta hai yahan pe, kisko bula rahe ho? And so yeah, I think, as this production as well as consumption of comedy is very different. The one thing that irritates the hell out of me is when I'm introduced on stage as like, #1 female comedian in India. I was like, kya? Like, female is not a genre. Like, the guys, thank you, right? You can do, like, the guys do political and satirical and, मतलब भारी उनको इतना intelligence, मेरा औरत. वो वजाइना के बारे में कुछ बोलती होगी. And I find it very irritating. I'm like, no. Even if I'm talking about Eve teasing and vaginas and sanitary napkins, I'm talking about things that 50% of the earth should be able to identify with. So it's not female humor, my friends, it's observational humor.
Absolutely. When I was reading about how you started out, Aditi, there's this incident about one of your first gigs where apparently nobody in the audience laughed. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm sure it must have happened at some point. Does it still happen? First question, does it still happen? Where you do shows where nobody laughs, everyone's just like sitting there wondering what the hell is going on?
A lot. Or corporate shows. And so corporate shows they'll call you because like hot bandi honi chahiye, right? So they will do like pehle to female comedian, why? Nobody knows why they specifically want a female comedian, kyunki usko dress mein leke aao. So dress mein leke aayenge. And then, and like literally, I've had like my tits growing out of my neck at one point because they were just like, nahi, cleavage. My manager was like, I can't breathe. I was like, And that happens, like very frequently. And so initially when I started out, when I didn't have a manager to tell me to like put my cleavage in my face, because that's her job, I used to wear like pantsuits and go to shows. And people would just like, I just have roomfuls of men like just being like, hot nahi hai, समझ में नहीं आ रहा क्या बोल रही है, इसको पैसे दी किसी ने. It was one of those things.
But how do you handle an unresponsive audience? I mean, if you, for most people who try and put themselves in that position, it's probably like a nightmare situation. So do you have tricks on how to get things going, spark a little fire, get people to laugh a little bit? Shortcuts? Apart from that.
No, that's disgusting, Shiv. Oh. So, no, I think, I would do like I think it's about addressing the situation. It's immediately, if you're not doing well, say, I guess this is not going so well. And there will always be one sympathetic person in the crowd who will be like, it's not. It's really not going well. And so you address the situation. I think that's what is so disarming about comedy, is because you immediately address the situation and you, like, tell the basic truth of that moment. And that to people don't do often enough. We're very like, hello there, polite, weak limp wrist. Like, we want to do that. We want to be perceived as sort of proper all the time. And that is something that comedy sort of dispels, according to me.
Recently, Donald Trump, I mean, since we're in election season and everything, Donald Trump did a show with Jimmy Fallon. Very popular video. If you haven't seen it, you must see it. Is that still an unimaginable thing in India? You know, people wonder if India's politicians who give you guys so much fodder for your jokes and shows and everything, do you think they'd ever be able to do that sort of thing? I mean, this is a question that keeps getting asked, but you never really see any politician indulging in that kind of thing.
You know, actually, we've been talking about this a lot in terms of who wants to come on board and collaborate with you and talk to you and sort of have a sense of humor about things. I feel like our politicians in general are too mired in bullshit to, because if they come to a comedy show, they will get called out. They will immediately get called out. And frankly, stay away then. Because let us make fun of you if you're not going to come and give us any answers. If you can't take responsibility for what you're doing to the country, then stay away. Then just watch us make fun of you. And I think comedy is one of those things that is the strongest form of dissent. It's that thing, right?
You're saying politicians are scared then, because it's something that would disarm them, it would in many ways expose them as well.
Gee, it is scarier. That's why they say, na tu janta nahi mera baap kaun hai. Oh, mere pe has mat. That's one of the standard things. You, hasta kya hai? Has kya raha hai? There is nothing more terrifying than someone just pointing a finger at you and going, finished. I think that is, it hurts. It hurts very badly.
If you had a chance to do a fun sit down with a politician where you got to make fun of him or her, and I'm sure it's crossed your mind, who would it be? Or
see, actually, you know, not Rahul
apart
Gandhi.
from the obvious one.
Not Rahul Gandhi,
yeah.
But come on, yeah.
Not Rahul, not Manmohan.
Rahul Gandhi is like the Tushar Kapoor, is like the Uday Chopra, is like the Andheri East, is like the East Delhi, is like of the weakest ass punchlines. Like, okay, ho gaya, but I think one person I would really like to get into character and talk to is Amit Shah.
Just be like, students, tell me what you know about the sexual activities.
Just talk to them about everything else except politics.
Be like, pani puri spicy or salty you like?
Just random questions.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do right now is, I'm going to ask you to get into Dolly Khurana mode.
Okay.
And then ask any politician of your choice a few questions. Your time starts. You can stand if you wish.
So hello friends, myself is Dolly Akka Gurpreet Khurana. I am originally from the Punjab, Jalandhar cantonment area. किसी भी रिक्शा वाले से पूछ लो, मेरे डैड की दुकान है, खुराना एंड सन्स, काफी फेमस है. तो वेल फ्रेंड्स, मैं ना आपका फिजूल में वक्त ज़ाया नहीं करने आई हूँ. I have come to say you about my fairy tale life. वो क्या है ना, I was born at a very young age. और जब मेरा बर्थ हुआ था ना, तो पापा की पोस्टिंग फगवाड़े में हुई थी. ओनू न्यूज़ मिली बच्चा हुआ है, बच्चे का नाम आएगा गुरप्रीत. ओनू लग गया एमए बॉयज, इसलिए मेरी फीमेल इन्फेंटिसाइड नहीं हुई ना. पंजाब हरियाणा में बहुत मस्त करते हैं हम, चप्पल की तरह उठा के फेंक देते लड़की को. तो मेरा नहीं हुआ ना वैसे, तो इसलिए ना मैं अपने आप को बड़ा लकी समझती हूँ. तो इसलिए ना राइट नाउ आई हैव गॉट अ क्वेश्चन फॉर द नंबर 1 पॉलिटिशियंस अमंग ऑल द शाहs. तो जी आप बनोगे जी इस वक्त फॉर सेकंड, कैन यू बी अमित शाह? जी अमित शाह जी, लोग कहते कि आप सौरभ शुक्ला की तरह लगते हो. आप उनकी फिल्मों के फैन हो?
जी.
अरे बढ़िया बात है, वेरी गुड. तो और अमित जी, मतलब नाउ यू हैव गॉट अ वेरी मच कॉमन सरनेम. सब लोग शाह हैं, मतलब ऑल द शाहs इन द रूम प्लीज रेज योर हैंड्स. 5-6 तो होंगे ही. तो बस दिस इज लाइक अ फैमिली सराउंडिंग. आप वरी ना करियो, बस आप रिलैक्स कीजिए. थैंक यू जी. हाँ, रिलैक्स. मैं नहीं कुछ बोलना, हिंदू मुसलमान रिलीजियस राइट्स, ऐसा कम्युनलिज्म, आपने क्या वाहियात बातें बोली पब्लिक में, मैं कुछ नहीं बोलने वाली इसके बारे में.
Aditi, yes. You can see more of that on her tour. Okay. I don't know if she's going to talk about Amit Shah, but she is going to Surat and Ahmedabad and all of those places. So I'm really looking forward to that. But
वहाँ पे हार्दिक पटेल को मैंने रिजर्व सीट बना के रखी है. तू इधर आ, तू इधर आ, हरामजादा.
punching up and punching down, right? Punching up when you're making fun of people above your perceived stature, like Amit Shah,
हाँ जी.
I think.
हाँ जी.
And punching down, which is the slapstick stuff.
Which is Uday Chopra, Tushar Kapoor.
Tushar Kapoor
right?
and stuff.
क्या है बेचारे.
Which works more here? I mean, do they both work in India, in your stand-up shows? Is it easier to make fun of an Amit Shah or is it easier to, make fun of a Tushar Kapoor?
जी, Tushar Kapoor definitely. Because it's just like, बेचारे की life क्या है? Like what? It's just easier. Because Amit Shah might be connected in bigger places. Who knows? And so, ma'am, you don't know him, I don't know him, it's cool. यहाँ पे होंगे. हमने सबकी family tree देख के नहीं रखी है. But no, I think it's much easier, and it depends also on the people you're performing for. Because if you see most of the massy sort of stuff on television, वो जो बंदे that are dressed as women, because you can't, I mean, उनको कैसे treat करते कि मतलब बुआ is so desperate, बुआ की desperation की तो end नहीं है, मतलब दादी is another like just poor person, and so those cliches, those stereotypes, you can't actually have a woman there. That's why they have dudes dressed as chicks. Because usko fir laat marenge, and if there was an actual older woman there, do you think we'd be able to do it? No. But it's such like putting them in drag is such an easy way to punch down. It's such an easy way to be like, yeah, aurat hai, nagging hai, desperate hai, niklo yahan se. Like, so I think punching down depending on the audience you're performing to, is much easier. And then of course, when you're in a upper middle class or middle class environment, then punching up is always fun.
One final question, and this is something, I love asking all comics because I've gotten so many different answers. From the AIB guys, I got some amazing answers as well, which is, uncles come up to you and ask you, what does your mother think about the things you say on stage and stuff. What does your family say? What are the funniest things your family, your bua, your aunts and uncles said about the things you do, the things you say? Do they keep in touch with the things you say?
So, my dad is a super emo guy. Like, he just tears up at anything. I'm like, Papa, मैं उठ गई. Oh, beta, so proud of you. I'm like, नहीं, इतना नहीं. मतलब, bathroom गई हूँ, इतना भी काम नहीं किया. So, he's super emo, right? And he sort of, like the first time, he saw me perform, tears in his eyes, beta, so proud, yay, great. After that, every show he has, नहीं, मैं आ रहा हूँ. मेरे लिए 2 टिकटें रखो, मैं आ रहा हूँ. And like halfway through the show, I'll look at him. And I'm like, Papa! So, I think, and they're kind of used to it. I've always been a nautanki from childhood. So my mother was shocked. She's like, why are they paying you for this? Like, tu yahan pe muft pe karti hai. So it's great.
Aditi, we'd like to wish you all the very best for the rest of your tour. Ladies and
Thank
gentlemen,
you.
Aditi Mittal.
September 27th, Lodi Gardens. What is that? Allianz Francaise. Tickets on book my show, things they wouldn't let me say.
Aditi, performing stand-up comedy is one of the scariest things. And I personally applaud you, for the brazen humor and your brutal honesty. Wishing you all the best. And I don't know about the others, but Shiv and me will make a plan to come to Lodi Gardens. Thank you so much. I request Group Editorial Director Publishing, Mr. Raj Singappa, to kindly come on the stage and give a small token of appreciation for your time. Wow, that was a laugh, right? Wasn't it? Thank you, Shiv. Thank you, Aditi.